Hello. Aditi, my voice is audible?
Yes, sir, it is audible.
Okay. Okay, so in the previous class, whatever we have covered, is it good for you guys? Any problem in what we covered in the last class? Anything you want to discuss? My screen is visible, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Actually, I missed last class. I will call back. If you have time, can you repeat class?
Okay. Okay. So I think last class recording is already there. You can go through that.
Sure.
And so to just recap a bit on the last part, we were covering about electric vehicle design, types of electric vehicle, then what is the design procedure, what are the stages, fundamental stages through which you have to uh, go if you want to do a virtual prototype design for an electric vehicle. What would be the design procedure in terms of aesthetics design, right? So every stage that you see which is there in the design procedure of electric vehicle, right from the aesthetic to the validation, each and every stage is further subdivided into different stages, right? So aesthetic design we have divided, then we have divided this powertrain design into different stages. Then comes the battery design into different. So these are the three segment of the wide variety of segmentation that we can do if we are going with the design of an electric vehicle. So then we saw what is the difference between IC and EV, the components which are used in IC and EV, and then we saw what is the forecast per se by 2030, what would be the percentage of components which would be there in EV, and where is more of emphasis going to be there in this industry moving forward, right? Next 5 years, what are the technologies which will come in the electric vehicle industry? It's an amalgamation of different verticals combined together, and the idea is just to make the vehicle as smart as it can be. And then we saw what are the opportunities that we see in the future for anyone who is looking forward to make a career in this EV industry. Now, this class, I am going to cover the what you can say, it is more of a stages of the product development, and then I think the goal here will be to tell you about the market that is there currently existing in the EV industry, and what are the verticals in the EV industry where you can look forward to, and we will touch up more on the artificial intelligence, machine learning. We'll also see what sort of uh, in last 20-30 years, what has been the trend in the mobility industry. So first half we will not cover more of electric vehicle, rather than we will cover more on the automotive industry. What are the policies which has been created till today to make electric vehicle come into the picture, and what were the national auto policies, how did government realize that this is important, and then we will touch some part of the initial policies for uh, mobility mission plan, which includes your FAME policy, faster adoption and manufacturing of vehicles, electric vehicles. So all of these things we'll discuss one by one. I think this particular slide I need not to tell you in detail, because this is the slide which we have covered broadly in the previous class. So how do you make sure that your product development is getting right from your concept stage to the stage where you do the certification and sign off of that particular product, right? So these are the stages which we saw in the previous class. Now, if you look into the broad spectrum of automotive industry, this is what I wanted to uh, emphasize here. What are the broad verticals where automotive industry is there? Not just when we talk about automotive, it's not just three-wheeler, two-wheeler, or four-wheeler. There are upstream and there are downstream industries which are associated with automotive industry. So automotive industry by far is considered the largest employer per se in the whole of GDP contribution to our national, GDP, right? The percentage of contribution from an automotive industry, particularly from the employer and employee engagement, or the number of people who are engaged in this industry is quite humongous. When you look into the upstream side, more of the industries which makes raw material for automotive, right? This include mining, this include steel, this include metals, civil industry, plastic, rubber and glass industry, electronics, software industry. These are all upstream industries because they come before you go into the manufacturing of your vehicle, right? Either you are making a component or you are making the whole OEM. You are an OEM who is making a passenger vehicle, commercial vehicle, two-wheeler, three-wheeler, whatever you are making. But before that, these raw materials plays a crucial role because they are the one who actually supply the material for manufacturing, right? So they come under upstream industry. Core automotive, so very well, broadly two segment. One is the component manufacturers, right? The small components, or you can say sub assemblies, subsystems, right? These are the component manufacturers. And OEMs are what? These are the manufacturers who manufacture passenger vehicle, commercial vehicle, two-wheeler, three-wheeler and all that, right? So this is what is the division per se on the core automotive side. And then we look into the downstream side, right? So downstream side is mostly your industry which is there, which comes after your automotive is manufactured, right? So there will be finance and insurance, aftermarket, used car market, car hires and rentals, fuel supply, advertising, transportation, warehousing. All of these are downstream. There are adjacent industries associated with it. Nowadays, you will hear a lot about electric vehicle financing companies. So they are coming into the picture because more of these NBFCs have come into the banking side, where they are giving small loans based on your civil score and all that. So there is a lot of buzz which is happening in the finance industry. There are startups which have started coming into this industry, and I know very well there are very specific finance companies which are specifically for electric vehicle financing, right? So they finance if your customers buy electric bike, electric four-wheeler, three-wheeler, and then they also take care of financing for, let's say, you want to open your own dealership or franchisee, and based on your previous record, they used to give that. Apart from that, legal, when it comes to your RTO, when it comes to your transportation related issues, registration, everything comes under this vertical, right? So if your core automotive industry, so in 2020 and 21, automotive industry was at its very down stage, where sales of automotive were declining very rapidly, and if you look at that particular stage, not only the core automotive industry, but even the upstream and downstream also get affected because of the disturbance in this particular segment. I think somebody is writing. Yes, Prabhat. Okay. both language. You want me to convey in Hindi as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Prabhat, just make sure, because see, अगर मैं हिंदी यूज करता हूं तो मैं उस समय काफी डिस्कस वाले मोड में रहूंगा. अगर मैं इंग्लिश यूज कर रहा हूं तो इट शुड नॉट बी अ प्रॉब्लम फॉर यू टू अंडरस्टैंड, because see, ultimately you are not somebody who is going to work on the soft floor. We are making engineers here, right? Automotive design engineers. So communication per se is almost 30 to 40% of your whole knowledge. If you are not good in communicating, corporate industry will not be willing to take you, right? Yesterday only I was meeting with the army chief here in Delhi, and they wanted training for their army personals, right? So those who are already working in the Air Force and Navy. And what I found is that these guys did not have any communication skill per se, and most of them were, trying to talk in a way where their soft skills were not very good. So I conveyed this message to him. I said, "Sir, I think for them soft skills become a very very important thing." And at that time he told me that, "Sir, if these guys would have been working in corporates, then we would have given a special emphasis on soft skills, but they are on the field, so I don't think we need more of soft skills. They take order from us, and they are the one who follow." So
Okay.
industry by industry, this will vary. So if you are facing problem understanding in English, I think you should better get some classes as well for the English, because your interviews will be happening in English. If you go to an automotive industry, everything will be in English. So try to follow that. Now, when you look into the growing passenger vehicle production in India, right from 1980, this whole industry has been at the stage where, if let's say, if I talk about a company called, sorry, at that time this Bajaj was into the manufacturing of two-wheelers, and there was a delicensing mechanism at that time, that is called moderate liberalization. And at that time, what was happening is that if a company wants to make 50,000 units of vehicles, right, at, and they want to increase that number from 50,000 to 1 lakh, in that case, they have to set up a different unit somewhere else, because for a particular place, only a limited amount of limited number of vehicles were allowed to be manufactured, right? तो लेट्स से कि मुझे 50,000 से 1 लाख मुझे नंबर्स करने हैं, मुझे मैन्युफैक्चर करने हैं. फॉर दैट आई नीड टू सेट अप अ डिफरेंट unit altogether. Now, these were some sort of delicensing, at that time, moderate liberalization was introduced, and because of delicensing, another by 1990, almost, the upward growth in this industry increased from 0.05 million to 0.2 million. And then came the liberalization. 1991 was the time when, India welcomed foreign countries to set up their R&D centers in India. And also, the exchange of technology, exchange of information happened at that time. And then we saw that there was again incremental, growth in numbers of vehicles that were manufactured. And, by 2000, this 0.2 million actually increased to 0.7 million. By 2010, this 0.7 million was 2 million. And almost by 2020, this 2 million has now increased up to 4.5 million, right? So the growth in the passenger vehicle production has been quite incremental, right? This is just give me a minute. I think my voice is echoing. Okay, yeah. So, if we talk about Indian vehicle market, there has been almost 360% rise in the number of vehicles in 20 years. And the bifurcation of vehicles, कैसे division हुआ है vehicles का, if you see the percentage of road share means how, in 100%, what is the road share which has been taken by two-wheelers, right? So this we are talking about, let's say कि एक पूरे 1 किलोमीटर के एरिया में अगर मैं देखूं कितने सारे व्हीकल्स हैं, and then what is the number of total vehicles there, and what is the contribution of two-wheelers in that particular road share, right? So road share is calculated in that particular manner. So 28.4% is the road share acquired by two-wheelers. Private cars almost constitute 49%. Autos and taxis 12.8%. Buses 2.2%. LCVs and trucks constitute 7.6%, right? So this is a graph, the numbers that is there, right from 1998 to 2008. You can very easily see the increase in number of vehicles all around. And trend since 1998, how the numbers of vehicles from 1998 has increased drastically. This particular number is just to show you, a division of vehicles, right? Passenger vehicles, two-wheelers, commercial vehicle, three-wheelers. Every time, two-wheelers are the major chunk of the whole manufacturing, and this number is quite large compared to others. That's why you will see more number of players entering into the two-wheeler, right? In the EV industry as well, EV manufacturing as well, the number of two-wheelers will be more than passenger vehicle. It also depends on the affordability of the market. Indian market is more towards the middle class and lower upper class. So they had this bandwidth to buy two-wheelers mostly, right? So being if you project the number of vehicles which are there on the road right now, and what will be the number by 2035, this number is going to increase. This is what the prediction has been in terms of cars, how the numbers will increase, how the number of two-wheelers will increase, from 174 million to somewhere around 236 million, right? So the whole mobility industry, I cannot say electric vehicle industry, but if you talk about the whole mobility industry, this is a very bright future looking forward to. And when we talk about the auto policies which has been released by Government of India, you will see how even government is also very well prepared, that because of the increase in number of vehicles, their infrastructure, it means the road network or the highways and everything should be very well equipped to handle that sort of traffic, right? So this is the basic starting policy. You can say this is the framework of all the automotive policies which are there in the automotive industry. It is called National Auto Policy. Under National Auto Policy, there are initially till 2008, there were three pillars to this National Auto Policy. One is innovation, research and development. Second one is auto component manufacturing, and third is called vehicle manufacturing. By after 2008, there were two other pillars added into this whole framework. Fourth is called green mobility, and fifth is called ecosystem development, right? So these are the five framework on which the National Auto Policy stands. These are the guiding framework for National Auto Policy. Now, if you look into the Automotive Mission Plan, which was there in 2006, this was the first plan which was launched back in 2006. And, this Automotive Mission Plan is now being released every 10 years. So 2016 has another Automotive Mission Plan. 2006 has the previous Automotive Mission Plan. Now, every 10 year, government keeps a target that this is what I want to, get, achieve from the automotive perspective, right? This is from Ministry of Heavy Industries and Public Enterprises. So this ministry keeps a target that in next coming 10 years we will be able to fulfill this sort of goal. And in 2006, the mission plan was to emerge as the destination of choice in the world for design and manufacturing of automobiles and auto components. uh, First was that the target output of the vehicles which are manufactured in India should be increased to $145 billion. GDP contribution of the automotive industry should be around 10%, and additional employment generation of around 25 million. So apart from the employment which was there at in 2006, there should be additional 25 million jobs or employment that should be generated in next 10 years, 2000 until 2016. So because 2016 has already passed, we can very well measure what were the goals and what were the outcomes. You can see here, in terms of passenger vehicles, we were 11 ranked in the globe in 2006, and by 2016 the number changed to 7th global performance. In the commercial vehicle segment, from 4th it still remained 4th. Two-wheeler also remained same. Now in terms of numbers, from 2006 to 2016, GDP contribution in 2006 was 5%, and very well it was achieved in 2016 that almost 10% GDP contribution was there. Employment in sorry, it should be in million. From 13 million in 2006, there were increment of around 38 million employment generation in the automotive industry. Revenue per se was increased from $34 billion to $145 billion. And export was also increased from 4.1 to 35 billion. And this number of exports of vehicle is almost 70% of this export is done in the nearby SAARC countries, which are mostly your Sri Lanka, Maldives, countries which includes Vietnam, Indonesia. They are very they actually import vehicles and automobile from the Indian industry. Now you need to look into the what is the automotive mission plan from 2016 to 2026, because this is the phase where you are currently living in, and it becomes very important for you to understand that whatever policies will come in near future. I think yesterday or day before yesterday only, Government of India again revised the PLI scheme, because PLI scheme was to boost the electronic industry, the battery industry, because battery manufacturing is very, very much required in the Indian automotive, whole ecosystem. And just because major players were the beneficiaries of PLI scheme, again the PLI scheme was revised, and almost 6 other companies have participated in that PLI scheme for battery manufacturing. And this whole schemes that government is now launching for indigenization of the components in the Indian ecosystem is because it is somewhere aligned to the mission plan that government sets a target for, right? And if you look into this 2016 automation plan, the aim of this mission plan is to make the Indian automotive industry a significant contribution to the Skill India program, right? So this is very important because, see, this is the time, 2016 to 2026 is the time where transition from traditional automotive technology to the latest technology which we are currently into is happening, right? This is the transition phase. After 2026, more of transition would have already happened. If hydrogen fuel cell are coming into the picture, they would be relying on the same LiDAR, radar, autonomous vehicle, embedded If you talk about, this mathematical modeling, MATLAB Simulink, I think back in 2000, very early, I think 10-15 years back only, when this Tata Nano was getting manufactured at its plant in Gujarat, they were the first who used MATLAB and Simulink to mathematically model their vehicle, right? And because they can actually simulate the whole functioning of different components on MATLAB and Simulink. That is called model-based design, MBD, that is called, right? So model-based design was first done on this Tata Nano. And after that, right now, just to, decrease the cost of more what you can say, total cost of manufacturing a vehicle, we use this model-based design. Now we are using that in electric vehicles. So, this was not a very common thing back 10-15 years, but now it has become a common thing, right? Everyone who is in the automotive industry right now or in the EV industry right now, they need to learn model-based design in MATLAB and Simulink, right? This is now a fundamental. It's like ABCD of automotive industry, right? So most of the transition will happen during this period, and government was aware of, because they do have certain bodies, they do have NITI Aayog and all this, FICCI, they have CM, all these bodies, they constantly do research on what is going to be coming in the next near future. People were aware that Industry 4.0 is going to be there. There is so much buzz on Industry 5.0 because there will be mixed reality, there will be lot many other things with AI, but that is something that will take time. This is Industry 4.0. We have to first acquire most of the technology which is there, there in the Industry 4.0, fourth industrial revolution. So this is the very much transition phase under which we are going. If the government is very much focused about skilling initiative, that's why you see many companies coming in the front, and companies like us getting recognized by AICTE, getting recognized by Ministry of Education, because they understand that if the talent pool is not skilled at this particular point of time, then we will not be able to compete with countries like China or countries, even Vietnam is going far ahead in terms of these manufacturing and all. So that is the main focus in this 10 years, which actually we are staying in, right? So there are three main goals. So India to be the third largest passenger vehicle manufacturer in the world, first, and second is almost GDP contributions to be increased from 10% to 12%, and additional employment generation of 65 million in 10 years, right? So you can just imagine the number of employment generation which has happened in 2006 to 2016, that was almost 25 million, and now we are talking about an increase in this number from 25 to 65 million in this 10 years, right? So more number of people if required to be there in the automotive industry. This is a projection, you can say, because of the population growth, maybe because of the India now being into that whole upper class segment, because people have now more purchasing capacity. It has become a market for all the other developed countries. If they are launching any product, let's say any technology product which is being launched in US, if they want to do a demo or a trial, they come to India, right? Even YouTube want to test any educational tools, they first launch in India, and then they see what is the market response and all that. So Indian consumer mindset is not of that traditional approach, that they will not be willing to try something new. Previously it was thought that any startup which is coming, they should either get into Bangalore, cities like Bangalore, cities like Delhi, but nowadays even people in Indore, there are people in Pune, Bhubaneswar, they are also very much willing to try and test out new technology, right? You launch a new technology, they will be willing to try that out. So the consumer mindset has changed a lot, and for that reason also, you can say that will add to your whole employment generation. There will be lot many startups coming, there will be lot many technology based companies coming, and that will add to the whole employment generation. Because we are still in this 16 to 26 time, so there was certain delay because of COVID, and I think 2 years gap. But an optimistic figure says that we are very much sure that whatever target has been kept in this 10 years will be very much achieved. Maybe, I mean, there are certain budgets which were there, released in 2017-18. They were not fully utilized in this lockdown, because first, India did not wanted that we should be totally rely on Chinese market for importing our components, right? They were not what happens is, when India buys something from other country, uh, the transaction of this buying and selling, right, import and export, if that this is happening in terms of materials or any tangible material, right, not in terms of dollars, then that is good. But if that transaction is happening in dollars, then that is not good, right, for economy. So let's say that we are taking fuel, right, diesel and petrol from other countries, and they are taking something in exchange of that, that is good. But if they are not taking in exchange of that, maybe some grains or other materials that include we in terms of export, there are lots of uh, medical supplies, and there are so many verticals of government that relies on the export side. So if that they are not doing the transaction of materials, then the transaction of dollars happens, and if dollar is happening, then there is a physical deficit. I mean, the whole economy will see a price rise, inflation, and all that. So to avoid this, we particularly rely on exchange or importing the components or any material which can be done in terms of materials, not in terms of dollars. In case of lithium battery, right, the battery cells that you see, which majorly in India is more like, people used to bring the cells and they used to pack it. They will pack it in series and parallel, they will make a battery pack, and then they will supply. So these, but they are not making the battery cells, right? So these battery cells will always have to be imported from other countries, and if we are importing that, we are paying that in dollars, right? So in that case, there is a loss per se which Indian economy faces. So government do not want that to happen. That's why they launched these policies like those companies which will have almost 65% of the component which are localized, they will be able to get FAME subsidy, right? So they made this policy. They have around 10,000 crores which was allocated for this, but very few companies were able to procure that subsidy, because most of the time these companies were not able to procure indigenized components from the Indian market. So this is the loss that happened, and that's why this budget which was introduced in 2017 it is still not being utilized. So maybe we were told that by 2023 March there will be new budget allocated, but still I think that will go beyond March, maybe July, or August, and then the budgets will be spent. So unless and until this whole PLI scheme and the schemes which are related to battery manufacturing, your electronics, I mean chips, design and manufacturing, uh, these things are not happening, Indian players will be facing issues with the localization of components. So that is very much mandatory, and government is playing active role on that part as well, right? So this was automotive mission plan. Nothing big in that. It's not rocket science. It's just for you to understand that these are some policies which has been introduced by government. This is just a prediction of the whole, what you call mobility per se. In 10 years, in last 10 years, this is 2022. I'm talking about 2012. Just imagine 2012. Most of the people used to prefer to travel through trains. Now this has changed. This whole crowd has now shifted to airports. Nowadays we see airports being more crowdy, and as much crowdy as what we see in the railways, right? So uh, when we talk about mobility in India, we also talk about mobility in the Asian countries, because Asian countries predominantly your what you call it's interconnected. There is nothing more change. Even in Indian country, we used to drive at our right side. Most of the Asian countries follow the same driving lane. Sort of. I'm sitting in right side in my car, so that's what I'm talking about. If you go in the West, that will change, but Asian countries means those which are SAARC countries or Indonesia, Vietnam, and all these have this sort of same lane following policies. So whenever I will talk about Indian mobility ecosystem, I will prefer Asian countries mobility ecosystem, right? So I will prefer to say Asian, right? So this is what the shift has happened in the last 10 years. And if you look into what has changed in these 10 years, from a growing economy, right? From a growing economy, we have also been a very well into a consumerism sort of mindset. Nowadays, digital exposure has been a very, very much, fuel to the fire sort of thing. Uh, we quite a time we interact with your Society of Automotive Manufacturing, CM and FADA. Uh, they take care of the dealership modules which are there in India. And they were saying that previously, whatever the mode of selling the vehicles were, that has changed a lot. And now they have started introducing this uh, digital sort of advertising mediums to reach out to customers, right? So that is that has heavily impacted on the Indian automotive industry as well. As far as if I talk about increasing consumerism, this has been a trend. I mean, just think personally as well. If you are going to let's say a shopping mall, or even in the morning, me personally, if I go to buy a bread in a small mall, I end up buying other things, apart from that bread, right? I will see a jam, I will see a juice, I will see something else, and then that sort of tendency is there in the mind of people to buy more, right? So that consumerism has increased a lot. In US, there are lots of complaint about Amazon, because people have now got addicted to Amazon. They do in their free time, they just do add to cart, and they will just check out using their credit cards, and that is building a lot of stress on the new generation which is there in US. uh, that is again advantage for Amazon, but this is becoming a playing with your whole mindset, your whole emotions which is there. So this is all affecting on the sense of consumerism, and this will ultimately add to the basket of more people buying more automotive, more I think this industry is going to get a very, very big in next 10-15 years. So because of all the changes in Asian countries, mobility has gone through a transformation. Now, if you look into the mobility options in Asian countries, from personal mobility, this is personal mobility. Mobility per se means whenever something moves, it is called mobility, right? So from personal mobility, if somebody walks, that is also a mobility. If somebody is using a bicycle, that is also a mobility. There is two-wheeler, there is four-wheeler, right? So in terms of affordability, more people can afford to have a bicycle rather than a four-wheeler, right? So affordability from this side, from higher side, it is getting into a lower side, right? Shared mobility, if you see, more people can opt for a three-wheeler to have a shared mobility, right? Shared mobility means if more than two persons are sharing uh, a vehicle for their transportation, it is called shared mobility, right? Personal mobility means it is for your personal use. So, this is what I mean. When you go in this line, the affordability becomes less. There are less people who can afford taxis than more people can afford this three-wheeler rickshaw. And then, in terms of affordability in shared mobility, there is one thing missing. Anybody can tell me what should be there here after taxis?
Trains.
Planes,
Train.
right? Yeah. So airplanes. So that is what I mean in terms of shared mobility. This is more on the from the high to the lower side. Now, this is changing mobility in terms of shared mobility because of the emergence of new ways of mobility. There are players which has come in this market called Redbus, Atal, Uber, Ola, Zoom. They have all been a disruptor of the whole mobility industry. And previously, I mean, before 10 years, in 2010 or 12, nobody imagined that something like this will be there. Now, if you look back in the past and compare what was there 10-15 years back and what is now, it has changed drastically. Now, just imagine if you are somebody who is like 30-35 years of age, and if you are in 2010, and then you compare the mobility in 1998 or 2000, not much was changed in that time. In those 10 years, what had changed in the next 10 years? So the last decade has been a revolutionary shift in the whole mobility industry, right? The whole mobility industry had changed because of the digitization, because of the emergence of 4G, 5G technologies, more people having mobile phones in their hand. And if somebody is thinking again on the same trivial line which he was thinking back in 1998, things are not going to run on that particular problem solving attitude. Now the problem solving attitude has to be changed, right? Even I say to the startups as well, I think today also I'm going to meet some startups, and these startups are what they have made their electric bikes. The problem is everybody makes electric bike. That is good. Everybody has this say that okay, 65% of the components should be localized. That is also perfectly fine. But when we talk about the introduction of technology, right, in the previous class also I was telling, more and more number of digital interfaces, more and more number of sensors, introduction of embedded technology, ADAS, LiDAR, radar, all of these things will actually make your vehicle more safe, right? There is a lot of buzz in the market where people are saying that, this Kia, MG, all of these are the very new entrant. They came 3-4 years back and they have taken the whole market by a sweep, right? Maybe because of the technology. Technology has played almost 40% of the contribution in their whole vehicle, making the vehicle more safe, making the vehicle more streamlined, maybe fuel efficient, maybe from the aesthetic perspective more ergonomically more better design. So the if anybody is going to bring a revolution, in next 5 to 10 years, technology will play a very, very crucial role in this. And you have to incline your approach with technology as well, right? If you are making your own electric bike, or if you are working in a company which is making their own electric vehicles, they will ultimately want somebody who can integrate their hardware with the software, right? So this integration of hardware and software is what we teach in MATLAB and Simulink, is what we do per se in mathematical modeling, is what we do in embedded systems and all, so that this interface can be happen properly. We use IoT based devices, we use sensors and all, we use data analytics. All of these are amalgamation of your mechanical interface with the software, right? This is a sort of division of, we can say, how the whole crowd has divided itself based on what number of people use what sort of transport. This is just a average figure where you can say on almost 18% of the people on the road at a particular point of time use public transport, almost 15% use private transport, out of which two-wheeler are 12% and four-wheeler are 3%. This is just a demographic representation of what people usually prefers. Now, when you talk about the challenges in the mobility for Indian industry, what challenges the Indian industry is facing? First is your high road accident and death. There is very much requirement for a safer mobility. With recent accident of Cyrus Mistry, I think most of the cities have started imposing fines on people who are not wearing seat belt at the rear seats, right? And I was very surprised that many of the vehicles which is there in Uber and Ola, there was a report coming where they didn't have any seat belt in the rear seat. They have actually either removed it or they do not use at all. So the point here is that any vehicle which is coming in the market and they are giving an assurance of being a very safe vehicle is going to sustain. See, the price point for a safe vehicle in the Indian ecosystem is a bit high. So vehicles are starting from 25 lakh to 50 lakh to 1 crore. They are mostly having a very rugged chassis and they are very safe. If there is any accident, things, and let's say if you talk about your airbags and all, they're all there in all these seats and all. But the lower segment of vehicles, if I talk about Renault Kwid, right? Kwid is almost around 3.54. When it was launched, it was priced at 2.8 lakh, right? These vehicles, because they want to keep the price very low, they also neglect the safety parameters for Indian vehicle ecosystem. And I think this is where more of the challenge is there. How you make the vehicle safe but keep the price low. It should not be like you keep the price low but make the vehicle as drastically failure as it can be. That should not be the goal, right? So if you are incurring less cost and making the vehicle safe, that is something you are solving a challenge for mobility. Second is oil import bill, right? We were discussing about how the country's financial deficit is there in case of importing oils because dollar is getting spent in this. So that is also something we are actively looking to avoid, right? So oil import bill has to be reduced. This is also a challenge for mobility. High pollution, we generally see, I think this is, we are entering into October, Diwali will come, then November, and then whole budge around pollution will start coming, right? So people will start, government will start imposing odd even rules and all that. You also are very much aware that maximum number of cities on the whole global high polluted cities are from India only, right? So there is a lot more attention required to mitigate this pollution level. High congestion is what we generally see in the everywhere you see on the road. There is high congestion because of the number of vehicles are more. There is no proper traffic or safety rules being followed by the people, or even there is no strict policies regarding that. At times there are road or the highways which are not capable to take care of that increasing number of vehicles on the road, right? In countries like Singapore, we have a particular set of number of vehicles that Singapore can register per year. So if there is a directive by government that during this particular year, so 2022, only 1,50,000 vehicles can be registered on the road. So that is the number which is fixed. If somebody buys a new vehicle, that will 1,50,001, that is not going to be there on the road, because the government will not give them a registration number and all that. So that is something they have imposed to make sure that the roads are not overcrowded. Maybe, I mean, India can look into this option, but because we are a democratic country, nothing can be forced on the public, right? It should always be more on the awareness side and more on the facilitation side rather than imposition side, right? And then the fourth is high expenditure due to improved standard of living, right? We have all we are already seeing this, because of the increase in the standards of our living. There is a lot of expenditure we are doing, and that is something which actually creates, you can say, for a country which is relying on its own resources, that is perfectly fine when people used to spend money. But when people used to spend money and that money goes to some other country, that becomes a problem for the country which is actually relying more on its price, increasing prices. So for example, let's say you talk about technology company, you talk about Google, you talk about Amazon, you talk about Facebook. Even if I talk about automotive industry per se, just take an example of Tesla, right? There was a very big buzz in the market that Tesla will be there. Even we were approached by Tesla from Chennai, that if they are going to be there in India, their employees would get some sort of training from us. But the problem with Tesla was that they were not willing to pay, or they were not willing to manufacture their vehicles in India. So government always try to inculcate those strategies which can first increase the technology transfer, second is employment generation, and third is more on the side of keeping the whole movement of money in the country itself, right? So that more and more local manufacturing should happen, and wherever we are spending our money, that is actually happening in the circular side, but again restricted to a country. So these are some challenges for mobility. This point actually refers to the localization of content. So localization of components and all, if that is happening locally, that will actually have a less impact on the inflation, right? So these are something that government always try to introduce. In case of road accident, this is the data which has been released. And if you look on the number of accident which happens per 1 lakh population, there is how many number of deaths which happen in India. It is around 12 because of road accident. In US it is 10, in UK it is 3.2, and in Japan it is 3, right? So you can see here the number of fatalities in India is used compared to other countries, and that's why we are looking forward to safer mobility per se. To reduce high road accident, in 2015 there was a policy which was planned, And only after 2015, you would be starting to see lots of new technologies coming in the vehicle, be it your seat belt reminder, be it your RPAS, reverse parking sensors. SW stands for speed warning. Driver airbag is DRAB, right? So offset side impact pedestrian, this ABS facility, anti-braking systems and all were introduced between 2015 and 2020. After 2020, I mean the period where we are right now, between 2020 to 2025, new technologies related to electronic stability control, AEB stands for auto emergency braking, ADAS stands for advanced driving assistance system. These are something which are introduced right now to minimize the number of road accidents that we see. Already many safety regulations will be implemented by 2020. This is a bit past. I mean, by 2020, lots has been implemented. By 2025, lot many will be implemented. Next phase of future safety regulations to be based on data. Data will play a major role because through data only we can look into a predictive analysis, right? We can predict that this is the place where more number of accidents are happening, or maybe we can take care of that topography as well. There is a research from IIT Kharagpur. What they have done is they have basically mapped, they have launched a sort of a vehicle which can map the road, and based on that map, if that feed is given to the vehicle will intelligently follow the path where not more pits are there, or if the pit is there, the vehicle will have a advanced feature through which you can see in the dashboard itself that there will be a pit coming in next 100 meters or 200 meters. So, but that is also depending on data. More number of data anybody can crunch, the more number of predictions you can make. Technology development to consider Indian customer requirement, because Indian customer requirement is always different. You can see here, I mean, not nowhere in the world some scenes like this you can see, but in India. And in terms of pocket of excellence, there are lots of new roadways and highways being constructed in last 5-10 years, and that is a positive sign that we are actually looking on a safer mobility per se. So when we look into the problems, these are some of the problems that we talked about. Now when we talk about the solutions of these problems, the very first thing comes is the lack of public transport, right? Public transport is very, very low in India. As per as the number of buses per 1,000 population is considered, I mean, per 1,000 people, how many number of buses do India have? You can see here, there is just 1.2 buses per 1,000 population in India. While in Thailand, it is 8.6, in China, it is 8.1, in South Africa, it is 6.5, in Russia, it is 6.1, in Australia, it is 4, right? So, if we want to decongest our road, right, if we want to increase the shared economy where more people are using shared transport systems to decrease pollution, to decrease the number of road accidents that happens on road, India would be needing almost around 3 million buses to cater to people requirement, but has only 0.3 million buses, right? So this is the current figure we have, and this is what we expect to be there by 2030. And you will see almost 95% of these buses will be electric, because whichever state you talk about, every state has been given directive by Ministry of Heavy Industries that if you are buying a bus, right, it has to be electric, provided if your bus is going from central location to a very far off location where electricity is not there, or there are no facilities for charging station. In that case, you can have a system for the IC based buses. But if you are there in the city, if that is what is required, kindly follow that electric vehicle only. So I think major effort and push almost 10 times is required for Indian in India for public transport. So this is a major focus for Ministry of Heavy Industries as well. More and more number of electric buses would be there every day nowadays. I think Times of India has a separate page on electric vehicles only. Every day I wake up in the morning and there would be some news from some state where they are saying that okay, they have done something in electric vehicle, there is new technology they have introduced, there is this number of target of charging station they have already catered to. So you are living in this time where transitions is happening, and this can be a very much fruitful time for you to envisage all of this. Now, in a global context, when we talk about mobility solution, it is you walk, you have a bike, you either ride or you drive, right? These are the four options in if you want to go from point A to point B. Now, nowadays you must have started to see that, you know, if you want to go from point A to point B, let's say from here I want to go to Taj Palace, if I open in my Google map, you know, I want to go there, my Google map will show me that these are the modes of transport currently available. They will include all the modes which are there on the road, right? They will include metro, they will include your buses, they will include Uber, Ola, you know. So this is more towards a integration of all the mobility options, right? So previously it was there in the US that they have integrated all the mobility options into just one map, but nowadays in India as well, this integration has already been happening, and we are starting to see that. Until now, so see, this particular session is very much one-sided because it's more on the information side. There is nothing more to discuss. It's more for you to get aware of. These are all the informations which I'm telling you. This is not something very much to be discussed. We'll discuss policies and all, but later on. So I just wanted to cover it as soon as possible. This is almost 200 slides we have to cover. So the more you guys gather information, the more it is better for you in the future to analyze and predict this. So until now, any problem you guys have? Anything?
Sir, can you explain core motivative?
Which one?
Can you explain core automotive?
Okay, the first one?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So core automotive is where components are manufactured. Components, you understand? Components क्या होते हैं? जो parts लगते हैं गाड़ी में, जैसे सस्पेंशन एक component हो गया, स्टीयरिंग एक component हो गया, बैटरी एक component हो गया, तो उसे हम लोग component manufacturers बोलते हैं, ठीक है? एक होता है ओरिजिनल इक्विपमेंट मैन्युफैक्चरर्स, वो OEMs होते हैं, जैसे महिंद्रा हो गया, टाटा हो गया, ये लोग OEMs हैं. ये क्या करते हैं? ये कंपोनेंट्स को लेते हैं अपने पास और इनकी ट्रेडमार्क पे जो है पूरी की पूरी व्हीकल बनती है. तो दे आर मोर लाइक अ व्हीकल असेंबलर. ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि उनका सिर्फ चेसिस हो, उनका स्टाइलिंग हो, उनका कॉन्सेप्ट हो, बट जो कंपोनेंट लग रहे हैं उसमें वो कई सारे वेंडर्स का हो सकता है. वो 200, 300, 1000 उसमें वेंडर्स लग सकते हैं. मैं पर्सनली महिंद्रा XUV जब मैं हो रही थी डिजाइन 2013 में, I was there and there I saw almost 900 to 980 other component manufacturers which came and their parts were being utilized. डैशबोर्ड जरूरी नहीं है कि जो डैशबोर्ड तुम देखते हो XUV में वो महिंद्रा कहीं बनाया हुआ है, वो किसी और का होगा. टायर्स किसी और के हैं, देख रहे हो? तो जो भी कंपोनेंट्स लगते हैं तुम्हारे एक OEMs में, वो डिफरेंट कंपोनेंट मैन्युफैक्चरर से होते हैं. लेकिन यही दो जो इंडस्ट्री है ये कोर ऑटोमोटिव को रिप्रेजेंट करती है, ठीक है? कोर ऑटोमोटिव मतलब ये एक्चुअली यहाँ से चीजें बन के निकल रही है. बन के निकल जाने के बाद जो इनकी सर्विसिंग होनी है, या इनका इंश्योरेंस होना है, या एडवर्टाइजमेंट होना है, ट्रांसपोर्टेशन होना है, हाँ, ये सारी चीजें डाउन स्ट्रीम में चली जाएंगी, और उसके पहले जो है रॉ मटेरियल जो इस चीज के लिए यूज होने वाला है वो पूरा का पूरा अप स्ट्रीम में चला जाएगा।
यस, थैंक यू सर।
So this is where every other research paper, every other market research that you will do in the electric vehicle industry, you will always see these four terms being used very commonly, right? In every, so if you take a report from Boston Consulting, if you take a report from KPMG, if you take these consulting players, if you take their reports, what they do is they predict what will be the outcome in next 10 years, 15 years, and based on that, industry, for somebody, let's say I have done my MBA, for me, it is very important that I am always aware of the market opportunity which is there in the automotive industry. It's not that, I'm not being particular to an MBA, but it's like somebody who is doing a market research, they will be very much inclined toward this. And for us, we generally see these terms: autonomous, connected, electric, and shared, right? The short form of this is called ACES, right? Autonomous, connected, electric, and shared. So this is where the future of mobility is going to be there, right? So these are the four verticals on which the mobility solutions will all converge, right? When we talk about autonomous, very well, autonomous means the vehicle which can move without a driver, right? Autonomous vehicle, driverless car जिसको बोलते हैं. So why do we need autonomous car? Because we need a safer and fatigue-free car. अब safer, how you can define a safer in autonomous, that is also a point to debate, right? तुम्हें लगता है कि autonomous car safe होती है, और anyone can give their perspective on this particular point? Do you think autonomous cars are safe? Or if not, how can we make autonomous cars safe? पहले ये बताओ, autonomous car, anybody can define autonomous? मैं अगर एडवांस जा रहा हूँ तो you can restrict me, because I actually, if you do not talk, I will feel like कि तुम्हें चीजें समझ में आ रही है.
सर मतलब जैसे जिसमें ड्राइवर मतलब ऑटो खुद से वो चले, मतलब
ड्राइवर खुद से,
मतलब ड्राइवर की इसमें जरूरत ना पड़े, वो अपने आप मतलब सारी चीजें करे.
ओके, तुमने कोई ऐसा प्रोजेक्ट किया है कॉलेज में जो कभी रोबोट बनाया हो, लाइन फॉलोअर रोबोट सॉर्ट ऑफ, ऐसा कभी देखा है कुछ?
नो सर.
सर
किसी
वो
ने
ये सर
आर्डिनो बेस्ड रोबोट, राइट? सो उसमें क्या होता है कि तुम उसको
उसमें प्रोग्रामिंग करके और उसको हम ट्रैक पे मतलब चलाते हैं, तो इस तरीके से उसको कंट्रोल करते हैं रिमोट से, इस तरीके से.
ठीक है. तो वो क्या है, वो डिटेक्ट करता है कि ये लाइन है, ये ब्लैक लाइन है, इसमें मुझे चलना है.
जो टेस्ला यूज दिस प्रोग्रामिंग
है ना? तो बात यहाँ पे इस चीज की आ जाती है कि आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट कि इंडिया में ऑटोनोमस कार सक्सेस होगा नहीं होगा, दैट इज अनदर कॉन्सेप्ट. पीपल यूज्ड टू से कि इंडियन रोड्स आर नॉट मेड फॉर ऑटोनोमस कार बिकॉज देयर आर सो मेनी थिंग्स दैट कम ऑन इंडियन रोड. आप गाड़ी चला रहे हो, गाड़ी के सामने क्या कब आ जाए, यू नेवर नो. सो दैट इज अनदर थिंग. बट देयर आर कंट्रीज लाइक नीदरलैंड है, स्कॉटलैंड है, I think US में कुछ ऐसे parts हैं where autonomous cars are already running. There are deliveries which are being made on autonomous cars, and generally what happens is West में जो होता है वो इंडिया में आने में it takes around 8-9 years. ये सिंपल सा एक मैथ है. Shaadi.com का जो ऐप है वो चल रहा था US में 2007 में बहुत ही अच्छे लेवल पे, बट वो इंडिया में आते आते आपको 2014 तक हो गया, बिकॉज जो पेनिट्रेशन है मार्केट का इन टर्म्स ऑफ क्रेडिट कार्ड्स, डेबिट कार्ड्स एंड ऑल दैट, डिजिटल पेनिट्रेशन इंडिया में आने में टाइम लगता है. सो इवन लॉट्स ऑफ एम्फेसिस इज देयर ऑन ऑटोनोमस कार, because we are now in a connected and interconnected ecosystem. तो अगर ऑटोनोमस के ऊपर डिस्कशन हो रहा है यूएस और जर्मनी में, दैट विल अफेक्ट द डिस्कशन इन इंडियन कॉन्टेक्स्ट एज वेल. ठीक है, तो ऑटोनोमस विल बी देयर, बट हाउ सेफ फॉर एन इंडियन इकोसिस्टम, दैट इज समथिंग दैट वी will see in the future, but not a discussion point of discussion right now. Yes, it is very much important that you understand what is going into the autonomous car. There was one of our student, his name was Siddharth Singh. He is the guy who has made your vehicle dynamics course, and he was doing his research in robotics from IIIT Hyderabad, and then he went to US, and now he is the head of autonomous vehicles in Amazon, right? So those students which are more inclined on the robotic side, they can look for a future on the autonomous car, but outside India, right? Because ऐसा नहीं है कि हर को जो है अपनी फ्यूचर इंडिया में बनानी रहती है. There are some people who always try to get outside of their comfort zone. वो कनाडा जा सकते हैं. The ecosystem in Canada is very, very favorable for those who want to make a career in data science, want to make a career in AI and ML. And yes, autonomous cars are also something that they are very well working on. But India में आने में autonomous का अभी time है, right? India में भी क्या चल रहा है? Electric चल रहा है, electric, and there are certain discussions which are happening on hydrogen fuel cell as well, right? Electric में भी always I repeat, embedded model based design, you know, these are something that you need to take care of. PLC हो गया, sensor actuators हो गया, these are some, right? So autonomous एक segment है. Connected means all the vehicles are connected with each other. ये भी, this is something that is already there in the electric vehicles as well. Electric vehicles की जब मैं बात करूंगा आपको मैं बताऊंगा there are connected vehicles. तो कनेक्टेड व्हीकल्स में क्या होता है, जो कम्युनिकेशन हैपेंस इन व्हीकल्स, इट इज मोर व्हीकल टू व्हीकल कम्युनिकेशन, व्हीकल टू इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर कम्युनिकेशन, व्हीकल टू ग्रिड कम्युनिकेशन, V2G कम्युनिकेशन उसको बोलते हैं, राइट? सो ऑल दिस कम्युनिकेशंस आर टू मेक श्योर दैट all of your vehicles are connected with each other, and if they are connected with each other, you can monitor them properly, you can very well predict the outcome properly, because हर चीज से आपको एक डेटा मिल रहा है. So the more number of data you will have, the more accurate prediction you can make, right? So that is what we call as connected vehicles. Electric की बात आते हैं. I think all of our discussion is on electric. So the main goal of the mobility solution electric is to make sure that our cities are not emitting any pollution per se. In terms of shared ecosystem, it is more on the better asset utilization and congestion and reduction. This was increasing momentum before the COVID, right? Before 2020, you will see most of the cities have started shifting to the shared model of economy. But even after COVID, the shared model has a bit of impact, but now again it is getting its momentum. So for example, shared, कोई मुझे example बताओ shared energy का. You have seen any place where energy is being shared, or the model of shared energy? मैं बताता हूं. कुछ कंट्रीज ऐसे हैं जहां पे सोलर पैनल्स लोगों ने लगा रखे हैं अपने रूफटॉप पे, और वो सोलर पैनल्स जो हैं जब इलेक्ट्रिसिटी रिलीज करते हैं, एंड दैट पर्टिकुलर होम हैज सफिशिएंट इलेक्ट्रिसिटी टू रन ऑल इट्स मशीन्स एंड अप्लायंसेस. जो लेफ्ट ओवर इलेक्ट्रिसिटी है, बिकॉज नेक्स्ट डे ऑल्सो देयर विल बी सर्टेन sunrise and energy will be stored in that solar. So what happens is the person, the owner of that particular place, can share the unutilized energy with a grid, right? And that energy will be supplied to a place which require more amount of electricity. Let's say कि कोई इंडस्ट्री हो गया, ठीक है. ये मॉडल कुछ कंट्रीज हैं, नीदरलैंड है, आई थिंक सम पार्ट ऑफ the European Union have started using this. Even Germany, they are working on the shared energy ecosystem where everyone is now the stakeholder in providing electricity. ठीक है, मेरे पास एक्स्ट्रा इलेक्ट्रिसिटी हुआ, मैंने ग्रिड को सप्लाई कर दिया. अब जो ग्रिड बननी है उस चीज के लिए, दैट इज व्हाट द गवर्नमेंट विल टेक केयर ऑफ, और मे बी अ प्राइवेट प्लेयर विल कम इनटू द पिक्चर. और वो जो ट्रांसपोर्टेशन का कॉस्ट है या जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बिल्ड करने का कॉस्ट है, दे विल टेक सर्टेन कमीशन आउट ऑफ इट, बट आई एम ऑल्सो कॉन्ट्रीब्यूटिंग इनटू द होल एनर्जी रिक्वायरमेंट. सो दैट इज वन एग्जांपल ऑफ शेयर्ड एनर्जी. ठीक है, शेयर्ड मोबिलिटी में क्या आ जाएगा? एवरी डे यू सी शेयर्ड मोबिलिटी, राइट? शेयर्ड मोबिलिटी में जैसे आप अगर कैब शेयर करते हो किसी के साथ, या बस शेयर करते हो, एरोप्लेन शेयर करते हो, उसमें बहुत सारे लोग रहते हैं, तो वो शेयर्ड मोबिलिटी में आ जाती है. ठीक है, शेयर्ड मोबिलिटी, शेयर्ड एनर्जी, शेयर्ड स्पेस. गिव मी अ परफेक्ट एग्जांपल ऑफ स्टार्टअप व्हिच इज वर्किंग ऑन शेयर्ड स्पेस. Anyone?
Room sharing.
Airbnb. Airbnb, you know, everyone. Airbnb से हम लोग क्या करते हैं? हम लोग अपने, I mean, I personally used to give my house, एक रूम है जिसको मैं देता हूँ इस पे Airbnb पे, so that people can come and use. And this, it's not like hotel, but it's like you know, it's like sharing your space with others. They can come, they can use it, वैसा है. तो Airbnb जो है, they are working on shared.
Donating.
Pardon, it may be. Pardon? क्या क्या आवाज नहीं आई?
जा चुके हैं. Marriage home, sir. Marriage home sharing room facility.
Right. I mean, yeah, sharing of rooms. That this is what I mean. There are hostels which share rooms and all. I just wanted to make it a bit interactive. तो shared वैसा हो गया. So shared mobility, shared energy. There are co-working spaces, right? Co-working spaces आप लोग देख रहे होंगे जहाँ पे कंपनियां, there are 5-6 companies or even 10-15 companies working on the same floor, right? They are all co-working spaces. So they are perfect example of shared space, right? So the concept is that we are moving forward to a shared economy where we are sharing our space, sharing our energy, sharing our mobility, and all of these are happening, right? So this is what the moving forward. I'm just here to tell you about what the future is going to be. In the Asian context, a definition changes a bit, right? Because Asian countries are a bit on the lower income side. So for them, any possibility of an affordable solution becomes their attractive point, right? तो अगर कोई ऐसा मोबिलिटी सॉल्यूशन लेके आता है which is more affordable, then this particular Asian countries will accept that. That's why you see Maruti Suzuki and all, which plays in this range of 3 lakh to 6-7 lakh, are the more number of vehicles are being sold in this particular segment. 3 लाख से 6-7 लाख के रेंज में, है ना? तो वैसा है. जहां पे भी आपको हाई कंजेशन होगा, वहां पे you need a connected and shared vehicle, because connected and shared vehicles makes this congestion a bit, what you call, less. And because of high pollution and import bills, we need a environmental friendly energy security, and because of higher accident, we need a safer mobility. So these are the problems, right? These are the problems and these are the solutions in the Asian context, right? हायर एक्सीडेंट के लिए सेफर मोबिलिटी चाहिए, हायर पॉल्यूशन एंड इंपोर्ट बिल के लिए एनवायरमेंटल फ्रेंडली एनर्जी सिक्योरिटी चाहिए, हाई कंजेशन के लिए कनेक्टेड एंड शेयर्ड चाहिए, लोअर इकोनॉमिक इनकम के लिए अफोर्डेबल सॉल्यूशन चाहिए. अब आते हैं, मैंने आपको स्टार्टिंग में बताया था कि जो ग्लोबल कॉन्टेक्स्ट है, राइट, मूविंग फॉरवर्ड इन द मोबिलिटी कॉन्टेक्स्ट इज ऑटोनोमस कनेक्टेड इलेक्ट्रिक एंड शेयर्ड, राइट, ACES. While in the Indian context और मे बी एशियन सेंट्रिक कॉन्टेक्स्ट, ये ऑटोनोमस जो है, मैंने बताया आपको कि ऑटोनोमस आप यूएस में चले जाओ, कनाडा में चले जाओ, इसमें काफी सारी चीजें हो रही हैं, बट इंडिया में अभी टाइम लगेगा इसको, ठीक है. तो ऑटोनोमस बदल जाता है अफोर्डेबल में, कनेक्टेड वहीं का वहीं रह जाएगा, कनेक्टेड एंड शेयर्ड. इलेक्ट्रिक का हो जाएगा इको फ्रेंडली. ये जरूरी नहीं है कि इंडिया में वहीं मोबिलिटी ऑप्शन रहे जो कि सिर्फ इलेक्ट्रिक हो. हमारे पास जो भी ऑप्शंस होंगे इको फ्रेंडली करने के लिए, पॉल्यूशन को घटाने के लिए, वी विल फॉलो दैट. देयर आर लॉट मोर एडवांसेस व्हिच आर हैपनिंग ऑन द अल्टरनेटिव फ्यूल साइड एज वेल. हाइड्रोजन पे तो काम चल ही रहा है. सो there will be other viable options other than electric as well, although the concept will remain same, right? Power generation and everything that is there in the electric will remain same, but the source of power may vary, right? जो shared वाली चीज है, I don't think India will be very much ready with the shared ecosystem in next 5-10 years, but हाँ, shared जो है वो आपका safe में बदल जाना है, ठीक है. तो the acronym remains same, ACES, but not autonomous connected electric and shared. It will be affordable connected and shared, eco-friendly and safe for an Indian context, right? So Asian specific mobility solutions: affordable, connected and shared, eco-friendly, safe. This is what. These are some of the information technologies or driving supported systems which are listed below that will be there to be used in your car. So जैसे लेन कीपिंग सिस्टम है, आप अभी देखते होंगे व्हीकल्स में लगी रहती हैं. फटीग वार्निंग सिस्टम है, ऑटो पायलट है, इन कार वीडियो कैमरास टू रिकॉर्ड एक्सीडेंट इंसिडेंट्स, नाइट विजन डिवाइसेस, लेन चेंजिंग वार्निंग सिस्टम्स, ब्लाइंड स्पॉट वार्निंग सिस्टम, फ्रंट रियर एंड कॉलिजन आर्म वार्निंग सिस्टम, राइट? So these are some of the supporting systems which you will see in high-end cars, ठीक है. जैसे मर्सिडीज, BMW, इन सारे में ये सारी चीजें रहेंगी, बट वो लोअर एंड के व्हीकल्स में अगर रहे तो दैट इज मोर प्रेफरेबल, एंड दैट इज वेयर द चैलेंज इज दैट हाउ डू वी ब्रिंग डाउन द कॉस्ट कि हम लोग इवन 7-8 लाख के व्हीकल्स में भी ये सारी चीजें डाल सके, या और भी जो कॉस्ट फ्रेंडली या इसको कॉस्ट इफेक्टिव व्हीकल्स जो होते हैं उसमें वी कैन इंट्रोड्यूस दिस सॉर्ट ऑफ technologies at a lower cost, right? When we talk about connected cars, almost these are some of the features of connected cars. They will tell you about traffic weather, they will help you to navigate, they will help you in maintenance of your vehicle. अभी आगे क्या किस चीज में फॉल्ट आने वाली है वो आपको connected cars can tell you. Accessibility में आपको मदद कर सकते हैं, entertainment systems में they will help you, fuel tracking and all that can be done through a connected car. So these are some of the benefits of having a connected car. पिछले वाले स्लाइड में anyone have any questions to ask? सारी चीजें क्लियर है?
सर कनेक्टेड कार का कुछ समझ, मतलब कोई अलग से कार कनेक्टिंग समझ नहीं आया पूरा एक्चुअली.
कनेक्टेड कार मतलब ऐसा समझ लो कि मैं दो कार को कनेक्ट नहीं कर रहा हूं किसी चीज से, मैं वायरलेसली कनेक्ट कर रहा हूं, ठीक है ना. तो वायरलेसली अगर वो कनेक्ट होते हैं एक दूसरे से तो वो कम्युनिकेट कर सकते हैं एक दूसरे से. और मानो कि तुम्हारे किसी दोस्त ने एक व्हीकल खरीदा हुआ है, तुम्हारे पास एक व्हीकल है और दोनों एक दूसरे से कनेक्टेड हैं. अब अगर दोनों एक दूसरे से कनेक्टेड हैं, तुम्हारे दोस्त ने जो है वो चला तुम्हारे घर से 8:30 में, तुम चलने वाले हो अपने घर से 9 बजे, वो 830 में गया और उसने कुछ ऐसी, लेट्स से कि अचानक से रोड पे कोई एक्सीडेंट हो जाना या कुछ ऐसा हो जाना जिससे तुम्हारे ड्राइविंग बिहेवियर पे असर पड़ सकता हो, वो तुम्हारे कार को इन्फॉर्म हो जाएगा। उस तुम्हारे दोस्त को बताने की जरूरत नहीं है कि आगे में एक्सीडेंट हुआ पड़ा है। वो व्हीकल, बिकॉज दे कम्युनिकेट विथ ईच अदर, यू विल हैव अ प्रेडिक्शन कि आगे में ये प्रॉब्लम हुई है। अब तुम गूगल मैप देखते हो तो वहां पे रेड मैप दिखता है, रेड कलर दिखता है, तो लगता है अच्छा आगे ट्रैफिक हुई होगी। बट जनरली मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम इट इज नॉट वेरी मच रियलिस्टिक कि वहां पे कुछ अगर नहीं भी हुआ हो या हुआ हो तब भी वहां पे रेड जो है डॉट नहीं आएगा, बिकॉज वो हो सकता है वो रियल टाइम में वो अचानक से हुआ हो वो चीज, राइट। तो तुम्हारा जो एक बिहेवियर है वो रियल टाइम में चेंज होना चाहिए, राइट। सो इट इज ऑल अबाउट यू नो vehicles which are not just for making you aware of the road condition, but also these are some of the features in connected cars where they are connected with the environment, they are connected with the traffic systems. अगर कल को कोई कुछ चीज लेट्स से कि इंडिया गेट पे कुछ होने वाला है, राइट, कल होने वाला है, कल प्राइम मिनिस्टर आने वाले हैं, एंड यू डू नॉट हैव एनी सिस्टम कि जिससे तुम्हें पता लगे कि कल कोई इवेंट है वहां पे। योर व्हीकल कैन वेरी वेल हैव दिस सिस्टम दैट वो ट्रैफिक जो पुलिस होती है वो अपने थ्रू ही ये इंफॉर्मेशन पास ऑन कर देगी व्हीकल्स में कि कल जो है ये सारे रोड्स ब्लॉक रहने वाले हैं, राइट। तो जब आप गाड़ी में बैठोगे तो आपको पता लग जाएगा कि अच्छा ये रोड तो आज के लिए ब्लॉक है, तो मैं दूसरा रोड। कई कबार ऐसा होता है कि आप एकदम एंड तक पहुंच जाते हो और पता लगा कि वहां पे ब्लॉकेज है और उसके चलते आपको फिर से जो है 5-6 किलोमीटर का टर्न लेना पड़ता है। तो ये सारी कुछ ऐसी चीजें हैं जो कनेक्टेड कार से सॉल्व की जा सकती है। अदर देन दैट, ये मेंटेनेंस वाला जो पैरामीटर है जिसमें कल को कोई फॉल्ट आने वाली है बैटरी में या आपके टायर्स में कोई फॉल्ट आने वाली है, वो प्रेडिक्शन निकल जाना है कि अगले 10 दिनों में आपको टायर चेंज करने की जरूरत है, अगले 1 महीनों में टायर चेंज करने की जरूरत है। वो सारी चीजें यू कैन वेरी वेल प्रेडिक्ट विद कनेक्टेड कार्स। It's more like making your car more automated.
ओके सर, बट जो ये कनेक्टेड कार का फीचर आप बता रहे थे, जैसे आप 2 कार में एक साथ कनेक्ट करते हैं तो सारी चीजें शेयर होती हैं, तो सर ये तो सिर्फ किसी फिक्स्ड डिस्टेंस के लिए हो सकता है ना? जैसे मतलब ऐसा तो नहीं कि कहीं भी कोई चला जाए तो वो
कहीं भी कोई चला जाए, हाँ कहीं भी कोई चला जाए कनेक्टेड कार्स रह सकते हैं। ये ऐसा नहीं है कि हम लोग ब्लूटूथ वाली कम्युनिकेशन की बात कर रहे हैं। यहाँ पे जो कम्युनिकेशन होगी वो क्लाउड कनेक्टिविटी है, ये 5G कम्युनिकेशन है, 5G 4G वाली कम्युनिकेशन। तभी तुम देखोगे ना जब MG वाली व्हीकल्स होती है उस पर लिखी रहती है इंटरनेट इनसाइड, क्योंकि जब वो व्हीकल तुम खरीदोगे तो उसमें एक सिम कार्ड लगा रहेगा, समझ रहे हो। तो वो कम्युनिकेशन जो है वो सिर्फ ब्लूटूथ कम्युनिकेशन नहीं है, वो वायरलेस कम्युनिकेशन ओवर लॉन्ग डिस्टेंस हो सकता है। यहाँ पे जो तुम्हारी टेस्ला की व्हीकल है उसकी सारी की सारी फीचर्स वो टेस्ला जो यूएस में बंदा बैठा हुआ है वो वहीं से तुम्हारे टेस्ला को डिसेबल कर दे। अच्छा, वैसा है
सर कनेक्टेड कार को मैं ऐसा भी कह सकता हूँ कि जो सर मान लीजिए दो कार को कनेक्ट कर दिया तो पता लगता है कि पिछले वाली कार कितने किलोमीटर पीछे या कौन सी रोड से गुजर रही या मेरे से वो आगे चल गया, ऐसे होता है इसके सर। जैसे रेस कार में होता है कि मेरे से 6 कार पीछे या 10 कार आगे, रेस कार में जो अक्सर यूज किया जाता है।
ट्रू ये भी एक फीचर है, ये भी एक फीचर है। और इसका सबसे बेस्ट तुम एक्सप्लेनेशन ऐसे कर सकते हो कि जब 2 कार क्रैश करने वाली हो, आगे की कार पीछे वाली कार एक दूसरे से कम्युनिकेट कर रही है तो वो एक पर्टिकुलर डिस्टेंस पे आके ऑटोमेटिक ब्रेक लग जाना है, वो अगर दोनों एक दूसरे से कम्युनिकेट कर रही है। तो
सर अभी ट्रेन ब्रेकिंग सिस्टम का लॉन्च किया गया, अगर एक ही पटरी पर 2 ट्रेन रन करेगी तो ऑटोमेटिक ऑफ हो जाएगी।
ट्रू वैसा ही कुछ है, वैसा ही है। ये कनेक्टेड कार अभी और इवॉल्व होने वाला है। ये पूरा का पूरा सिस्टम जो है वो क्लाउड और IoT के इंटीग्रेशन से जो है ये पॉसिबल होता है। तो बहुत सारी पॉसिबिलिटीज इसमें बन सकती है। ये आपके जैसे मतलब जो न्यू जनरेशन है वो इसमें और भी चीजें लेके आएगा। दैट्स व्हाई आई सेड कि इस साइड में बहुत स्कोप है, ये इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स एंड ऑल दैट, कम्युनिकेशन साइड में।
So this type system are connected satellite.
Pardon?
This type system connected satellite.
Your voice is not very audible to me. You're saying something? Okay. I think you can also leave me a message in the chat box if there is an issue with this voice. Okay, yeah, done. So if you look into the drive modes which are there right now and the drive modes which are going to be there in the future, right now we see these drive modes like eco mode, comfort mode, sports mode. What we are going to see in the future is basically relax and socialize mode, work and concentrate mode, entertainment and enjoy driving mode. So these are all the modes which are going to be there in coming future. As far as the technology trends are considered, how the technology in making your vehicle safe has evolved, right? So these are some of the technologies which are there. They are further subdivided into active and passive safety technologies. So can anybody tell me what is the difference between active and passive technologies? Anyone? अच्छा देखो, लेमिनेटेड विंडशील्ड्स, यू गाइस नो लेमिनेटेड विंडशील्ड्स होते हैं व्हीकल्स में। एक टाइप का सेफ्टी ग्लास होता है जो अगर उस पर कोई पत्थर मार दे तो वो सैटर होने से बचाता है, बिकॉज वो लेमिनेटेड होता है, राइट। सो इन द इवेंट ऑफ ब्रेकिंग इट इज हेल्ड इन प्लेसेस बाय एन इंटरलेयर, राइट। ये एक लेमिनेटेड विंडशील्ड है। तो लेमिनेटेड विंडशील्ड जो है तुम्हारे, अगर कुछ एक्सीडेंट होता है तो एक्सीडेंट में वो जो पैसेंजर बैठा रहता है या ड्राइवर जो बैठा रहता है उसको वो हेल्प करता है एक्सीडेंट हो जाने के बाद कुछ उस कांच के टुकड़े उसके बॉडी में ना जाए, राइट। तो जो लेमिनेटेड विंडशील्ड है वो ऐसा कोई चीज नहीं है जिसको लगा देने से एक्सीडेंट नहीं होगी, राइट। ये इसका जो एडवांटेज बोलो, द बेनिफिट ऑफ having a limited windshield comes into picture after an accident, राइट। तो जो भी चीजें तुम्हारे एक्सीडेंट होने के बाद ड्राइवर या पैसेंजर को बचाए, सेफ करे, वो पैसिव होती है, ठीक है, वो पैसिव टेक्नोलॉजी होती है। और एक्टिव टेक्नोलॉजी क्या होगी? ये जो क्रम्पल जोन नीचे देख रहे हो, क्रम्पल जोन क्या होता है कि जब भी एक्सीडेंट होती है तो क्रम्पल जोन जानबूझ के गाड़ी में बनाया जाता है ताकि जो पैसेंजर्स हैं उनको वो जो फोर्स का ट्रांसमिशन है, जो इम्पैक्ट का ट्रांसमिशन है, वो ज्यादा रियलाइज ना हो। वो ट्रांसमिशन ऑफ इम्पैक्ट फोर्सेस शुड नॉट पास ऑन टू 100% ऑफ दैट शुड नॉट पास ऑन टू द पैसेंजर एंड द ड्राइवर। ऐसा नहीं हो सकता है कि वो ट्रांसमिट ना हो, वो ट्रांसमिट तो होना ही है, बट टू अ सर्टेन डिग्री ऑफ एक्सटेंट उसको कम किया जा सकता है। तो इसलिए क्रम्पल जोन्स बनाए जाते हैं, मतलब वो पूरा का पूरा वो जो पार्ट है वो क्रम्पल कर जाना है, वो सिकुड़ जाना है, ठीक है। जो बीच का पैसेंजर सेल है वो काफी रिजिड बनाया जाता है ताकि वो ऐसा ना हो कि वो चिपट जाए, ठीक है, स्क्वीज वो ना हो। तो क्रम्पल जोन पीछे भी होता है, क्रम्पल जोन आगे भी होता है। तो क्रम्पल जोन, देखो डिफिनेशन भी, इट्स अ स्ट्रक्चरल सेफ्टी फीचर यूज्ड टू एब्जॉर्ब द एनर्जी फ्रॉम द इम्पैक्ट ड्यूरिंग अ कोलिजन बाय कंट्रोल्ड डिफॉर्मेशन, ठीक है। तो क्रम्पल जोन जो है वो किस में आएगा, एक्टिव में आएगा कि पैसिव में आएगा? एक्टिव वो होता है जो जिस समय कोलिजन होने को है उससे तुमको बचाता है, राइट। जब भी जो भी एक्टिव सेफ्टी फीचर्स होते हैं वो दे मिटिगेट्स द चांसेस ऑफ एक्सीडेंट। एनीवन?
Sir, it will come in passive.
It becomes a passive, right? Because it is not helping you to mitigate the accident. It is coming to the picture once you are having an accident, right? So these two will fall into the passive safety technologies. Now let's these are all passive safety. Seat belts, I mean, this is not helping you to prevent the accident, but rather than once the accident happens, it is helping you to safeguard the passenger and the driver from the accident, right? So these are seat belts, these are head restraints, these are something that you must have seen to make sure that once if there is any accident, the in terms of in case of collision, your cervical vertebrae does not get damaged. So that's why we use head restraints. These are airbags. Airbags also are more on the side of making the passenger or the driver safe enough during the time of collision, right? Now, among this are some of the active and safety passive technologies. I think now you can very well tell me which are active and safety. Let's say if I say anti-lock braking system, traction control, electronic stability control, sleep control boost, all of those sensors which you see, right? All of these sensors which you see in your vehicle will help you to mitigate the chances of accident, right? Because it can help you to predict if there is any blind spot in front of your vehicle. If you're driving your vehicle and there is a blind spot in front, and you can very well see even the blind spot is there, you can your sensors can predict that, okay, after this object there is something ahead of this object, right? So in that case you are very well, your sensors are very well helping you to find out if there is any fault or if there is anything which can cause accident, and then your behavior change, right? You do not drive at the normal speed which you would be driving at that time. Maybe you would apply a brake, maybe there will be steering systems which are more responsive steering systems, right? So if you see any object in front of you, by steering that vehicle from away from that object, your chances of accident is getting reduced, right? So the accident did not happen because of a responsive steering, right? Maybe suspension system. If you talk about suspension system, there are dynamic control, there are control arms, there are ball joints which are there in the vehicle, which are already working in the vehicle. Whenever your vehicle is driving, जब भी आपकी गाड़ी चल रही है, तो ये कंट्रोल आर्म्स, ये बॉल जॉइंट्स, ये स्टेबलाइजर, ये टाई रड्स, ये सारे के सारे उस पर्टिकुलर मोमेंट में काम कर रहे हैं। अगर वो बॉल जॉइंट ना हो, अगर वो बॉल जॉइंट खराब हो जाए, तो आपको एक्सीडेंट हो जाना है, ठीक है। तो अब इस केस में जो भी चीजें हैं, जो चीजें मैंने जो चीजें उस समय पे काम कर रही है, to make sure that your vehicle does not have an accident or does not have a collision, that will be called an active safety technology. Clear है everyone? And I wish that, you know, I will share this slide with you all. You go through all these active and passive safety technology and make a doc file where you can, for your assignment only, you just understand it one by one. There is a lot of explanation given on Wikipedia about each of these safety technologies. If I go into the depth of each and every one, it will take a lot of time. So for you, it should be, you should know that, okay, these are active and these are safety technology, and based on that, you can do your own research and all that, right? Depends on you. Great, guys. I assume that nobody has any question because you are not asking anything. That's done. I'm moving forward. Anyone, any question in this? Pretty clear, I think, passive and active.
So any other example? Active and passive.
मैंने अभी बताया ना, ये सारे जो थे ये पैसिव थे. ये जो अभी आपको ब्रेकिंग सिस्टम्स हो गया, एंटी लॉक ब्रेकिंग सिस्टम हो गया, ट्रैक्शन कंट्रोल, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक स्टेबिलिटी कंट्रोल, जब आपकी गाड़ी चल रही है, जिस समय जो भी सिस्टम्स काम कर रहे हैं उसमें, उस गाड़ी को सेफ बनाने के लिए, उस गाड़ी को कॉलिजन से प्रिवेंट करने के लिए, उस गाड़ी, लेट्स से कि आपने स्टीयरिंग पे अपना हाथ रखा हुआ है और आपकी स्टीयरिंग उतनी रिस्पॉन्सिव नहीं है, राइट, और आपने किसी सामने कोई ऑब्जेक्ट आपको दिखा, तो जब भी आप अपने स्टीयरिंग को आपने टर्न किया, तो वो लॉक टू लॉक एंगल नहीं मिला उसको, या वो उतने अच्छे तरीके से रिस्पॉन्ड नहीं किया आपका स्टीयरिंग, तो उस केस में आपका एक्सीडेंट हो जाना है. तो एक्सीडेंट होने से पहले जो भी सिस्टम्स आपके गाड़ी में काम करती हैं, वो सारी एक्टिव सेफ्टी टेक्नोलॉजी है. ठीक है?
ओके. अच्छा, पैसिव एलिमेंट किस चीज में काम आएगा सर?
पैसिव का?
जी, यस सर.
पैसिव का जब भी एक्सीडेंट हो जाएगा, उसके बाद पैसेंजर को या ड्राइवर को कम इंजरी पहुंचे, तो वहां पे पैसिव का काम आएगा. ठीक है. तो अभी हम लोग बात कर रहे थे इसी चीज पे, कम्युनिकेशन वाले पॉइंट पे, कि हाउ दिस कम्युनिकेशन हैपेंस बिटवीन व्हीकल टू व्हीकल, राइट. तो we were talking about कि कोई यूएस में भी है, they can also disable your vehicle which is maybe a Tesla vehicle sitting all the way from US. and एक और इंटरेस्टिंग चीज मैं आपको बताऊंगा, अभी जितने भी इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल हैं मार्केट में, चाहे वे Hyundai के हों, MG के हों, टाटा के हों, ये लोग क्या करते हैं, जो चार्जर देते हैं, टाटा वाले तो टाटा पावर का चार्जर देते हैं, जो ये Hyundai और MG वाले हैं, दे यूज एक्सियम चार्जर. तो ये होम चार्जर होते हैं, एंड इफ यू आर यूजिंग द चार्जर एट योर होम, दे विल हैव ऑल द इंफॉर्मेशन अबाउट योर व्हीकल. ठीक है, वो उनको पता है कि आपकी बैटरी की लाइफ कितनी डिग्रेड हुई है, आपने कितने किलोमीटर अपने व्हीकल को चलाया हुआ है, और उनकी जो सिस्टम, उनकी जो हेडक्वार्टर है वो कहीं और पे होगी, हो सकता है बैंगलोर में होगी, और आपको कोई अगर फॉल्ट होता है आपके व्हीकल में, तो फ्रॉम देयर ओनली दे कैन डायगोनाइज ऑल ऑफ द सिस्टम्स विच इज देयर इन योर व्हीकल, और वहीं से आपको बता देंगे कि सर आपको ये वाली चीज चेंज करने की जरूरत है. क्या हो सकता है कि आपका एक सेल जो है वो डैमेज हो चुका है, आप यहाँ पे चले जाएं, वो आपको आपके बैटरी पैक को चेंज कर देंगे, वैसा है. ठीक है. तो ईच एंड एवरी टाइम योर व्हीकल इज सेंसिंग डेटा and sending data, it's not sensing, sending data, and the amount of data which your vehicle sends, right, to the grid or to a central server is close to around 200 GB. अगर आपके व्हीकल में बहुत ज्यादा सेंसर्स हैं, बहुत ज्यादा इन द सेंस की उतने सेंसर्स हैं, ये अगर ये सारे सेंसर्स हैं आपके में, तो ये सेंसर्स almost 200 to 300 GB data पर सेकेंड ट्रांसफर करेंगे, पर सेकेंड, राइट। अब आप बोलोगे कि सर ये पर सेकेंड तो हो ही नहीं सकता, बिकॉज हमारी व्हीकल की हमारी इंटरनेट की स्पीड ही होती है एमबीज में, हम लोग ज्यादा से ज्यादा 200 MB का ये करते हैं। बट होता क्या है, जब भी व्हीकल का कम्युनिकेशन की बात आती है, व्हीकल टू व्हीकल कम्युनिकेशन, इसीलिए 5G पे अभी ज्यादा एम्फेसिस है। और 5G के आने के बाद जो कम्युनिकेशन साइड है, व्हीकल टू व्हीकल कम्युनिकेशन, व्हीकल टू इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर कम्युनिकेशन, ऑल दिस इज गोइंग टू इंक्रीज लाइक एनीथिंग, right? Because 5G say there will be lot of facilities for the transfer of data which will come into the picture, and I will show you which all companies have now started developing their cloud infrastructure to store all this data, right? उनके पास अपना खुद का एक क्लाउड इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर वो लोग डेवलप कर रहे हैं, बिकॉज ये डेटा बहुत ज्यादा होगा। मतलब आप समझ लो कि हर गाड़ी एक दिन के ट्रेवल में ऑलमोस्ट टीबी में डेटा ट्रांसफर करेगी, और वो डेटा कहीं ना कहीं स्टोर होना है। तो कुछ ने तो ऐसे कुछ आई वाज गोइंग थ्रू अ रिसर्च पेपर व्हिच इज सेइंग दैट nowadays I think after 5 to 10 years they will start storing the data। अभी कहाँ पे डेटा स्टोर होता है, सिलिकॉन चिप्स होते हैं ना जो आपके इसमें पेन ड्राइव वगैरह में यूज होता है, तो वो सैंड से बनता है, राइट। अब क्या है कि विद द इंक्रीज इन नंबर ऑफ द डेटा पॉइंट्स, नाउ द इंफॉर्मेशन विल बी शेयर्ड इन ह्यूमन डीएनए, राइट। जो डीएनए होता है आपको, आरएनए एंड डीएनए, राइबोन्यूक्लिक एसिड एंड न्यूक्लिक एसिड, ये इन सारे के जो स्ट्रैंड्स होते हैं, राइट, इन दैट नाउ द डेटास आर गोइंग टू बी स्टोर्ड। सो द पॉइंट हियर इज दैट if the vehicle is communicating with other vehicle, if the vehicle is communicating with a central infrastructure or maybe a grid, or there are lot of mode of communication, all of these will require कनेक्टिविटी, राइट। ऐसा नहीं हो सकता है कि हम ब्लूटूथ पे रिलाई करें या किसी रडार या लेजर पे वो कम्युनिकेशन के लिए, या जो कम्युनिकेशन के लिए अभी प्रोटोकॉल यूज होता है वायर्ड कम्युनिकेशन में, वो कैन कम्युनिकेशन ही हो जाता है। जब भी आप बीएमएस डिजाइन करने जाओगे, बैटरी मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम, तो वहाँ पे कैन की जो है एप्लीकेशंस आपको पता लगेगी, या जब आप चार्जिंग कंट्रोलर्स वगैरह या चार्जिंग स्टेशंस की डिजाइन करोगे तो वहाँ पे वी यूज कैन कम्युनिकेशन। बट ये जो कम्युनिकेशन मैं बता रहा हूँ, दैट इज टोटली डिपेंडिंग ऑन द इंटरनेट प्रोटोकॉल कम्युनिकेशंस, राइट। सो this all will come into a canva of intelligent vehicle technology, the use of computer control system in conjunction with micro machine component in order to carry out functions related to the car safety systems and autonomous driving. It is used for communication between vehicles or between vehicles and a sensor placed on the road. The vehicle is able to warn the user or in some cases take action related to passenger and pedestrian safety, which we already have discussed about. It comprises mainly of vehicle to vehicle communication and autonomous vehicle approach, right? So ये आपको कुछ इसके features या advantages आ गए इसमें कि how do they communicate with each other and what all advantages we can get from vehicle to vehicle communication, right? When we talk about the communication types within connected vehicles, these are the following communication types. One is called vehicle to infrastructure. The other one is called vehicle to cloud. Third one is called vehicle to pedestrian. And fourth one is called vehicle to everything. अब everything X के जगह आप कुछ भी लगा दो. X के जगह आप हो सकता है vehicle to vehicle लगा दो, vehicle to pedestrian कर लो, vehicle to cloud कर लो. X means X is an arbitrary. Vehicle to X refers to an intelligent transportation system where all vehicles and infrastructure systems are connected with each other. This connectivity will provide more precise knowledge of the traffic situations across the entire road network. So this sort of communication protocols is making sure that your transport system is pretty safe, right? It's not something that you are not able to predict what is going to be there in the near future. You can very well predict that, okay, this is what is there in terms of traffic congestions and all. Vehicle to pedestrian approach encompasses a broad set of road users, including people walking, children being pushed in stroller, people using wheelchair or other mobility devices, passenger embarking and disembarking buses, train and all. So vehicle to pedestrian communication में क्या होगा? Your vehicle can use sensors to find out that okay, within this 100 meter of range, what is the number of what is the pattern of people who are walking on the road, or are there any person who is passing the road and all that, so that in real time this information can be shared with other vehicles, right? So the communication is not just happening one way, it is happening into multiple ways. That is where vehicle to everything comes into picture. So it is sensing a lot of data, and data is about the movement of people on the road itself. Second is called vehicle to cloud, under which advanced cloud-based connected car platform with capabilities that far exceeds those of legacy telematic platforms, and also required broadband cellular connectivity 4G along with 5G based services. So this is about how do your vehicle is communicating with the cloud, so that all the information which is there being received from the environment can be shared with a central server. अगर वो पूरा का पूरा जो information ये absorb कर रहा है उसको वो सेंट्रल सर्वर तक नहीं भेजेगा, तो वहां पे वो डेटा accumulate नहीं होगा. And it is very important for us that we accumulate all the data, and based on that we can predict maybe after 1 month what will be the number of vehicles on this particular road, or let's say general prediction about sales forecasting, a general prediction about consumer mindset and all can be done, or a prediction about when the component which is there in the vehicle is going to fail, right? So on the maintenance side as well. फिर आता है vehicle to infrastructure. Vehicle to infrastructure technology capture vehicle generated traffic data wirelessly, providing information such as advisories from infrastructure to the vehicle that inform the driver of safety mobility. I mean, this is about a central server. Infrastructure means a central server from where some advisories are being released to the owner or the driver of the vehicle about safety, mobility, or environment related conditions. That okay, let's say I'm going from this place to Hyderabad. Now, if I'm driving to Hyderabad, and my central server where all the data are being transmitted, they have analyzed that this is 400 kilometer, and my vehicle battery is going to die out or after 250 kilometers. Although I have a data that my battery is going to sustain for 350 or 400 kilometers, but the central server says that no, there is some issue in your battery, so maybe you would be required that you take some extra help, or maybe you do not travel and all that. I mean, I'm just giving you an example. It is just an example, because even if the case of battery is there, the battery data is always being released through the driver display, where it informs the driver about the state of charge, state of discharge, and everything through a smart device connected on the dashboard. So yeah, this is also again towards making your vehicle safe, making the passenger safe, and yes, giving a comfort to the whole passenger driver. Any questions in this? Okay, so what are the benefits of these connected technologies? We have already discussed about this. They help to prevent crash. There is reduced need for infrastructure. Travel time dependability is reduced, productivity is increased, improved energy efficiency, new models for vehicle ownership, and new business model. These are some of the benefits of connected technologies. Right, each and every topic about the benefit is being discussed here in detail. I think it's pretty well much understood by you, what is the advantage and all. Let's talk about the automotive sensors. These are the sensors which actually transmit all this data back to the cloud, and these sensors are in vehicles. Mostly in electric vehicles, sensors have more role to play now, because everything that you see in a vehicle is connected with a high voltage DC system, and because it is running on electricity, it is very much mandatory that we make sure that our vehicle is safe, or if there is any short circuit, that can be very, very devastating for the driver or the passenger, right? So some of the sensors are listed here. I think once the technology evolves, there are a lot many sensors which will be there in automobiles, and all of these sensors will actually transmit the data to make the vehicle as safe as it can be. In the last class, we were discussing about radar, LiDAR, and sonar. So radar stands for radio detection and ranging. LiDAR is laser detection and ranging, and sonar is sound navigation and ranging. So these are all detection-based devices which used to help in finding the range, or maybe any obstruction which is there in the path of running vehicle is being detected by all these three. So this connected vehicle technology, when they talk to each other, the basis of this communication is called DSRC, dedicated short range communication. I think electronics and communication students can understand this better, but if you want to deeper dive into this DSRC, you can look into the Wikipedia for details. For right now, just understand that the basis for the communication is dedicated short range communication, right? Once vehicles and vehicles are communicating with each other, right? This is the case where I think somebody told me that will this work when the vehicles will be in close proximity, or will they work if the vehicle is one vehicle is in Hyderabad and one vehicle is in Delhi? Now, see, the importance of this V2V communication will only be can be justified if the vehicles are communicating when they are traveling on the same road, so that more of the data regarding what is going to be there in the front, like this vehicle, if you see the very first vehicle in this picture you see has been hit by a collision. It is out of road, right? So this is getting transferred to this vehicle is transferring to this, and ultimately the last vehicle, which is a ambulance, is getting this data that okay, there is certain accident which has happened, and maybe it can traverse this path to a different lane, or it will be easier for him to understand the implications quite before, right? This is what the actual benefit of V2P communication is in the whole mobility ecosystem. So likewise said, the vehicle to vehicle communication is to reduce accident, to reduce our time of travel, to provide an extended driving vision, and to help others making their driving more comfortable. How do the vehicle to vehicle communication occurs? I already told you about the DSRC communication method, and the data which is being fed from one vehicle to another vehicle includes the data about the speed, location, direction of travel, braking, and loss of stability as well, right? These are some of the companies which are predominantly working in connected car landscape. On the telematics side, companies like Autonomo, Octo, Flexotronics are there. Autonomous driving systems, we have Waymo, Hyundai, Daimler, Uber, Volvo, GM, Honda. Cloud services, these are the companies, Dell, IBM, EMC, Amazon, Google, Microsoft. On the infotainment side, Ford, Tesla, Apple, Flexotronics. On the communication side, these are Bosch, Continental, Magna, Harman, Cisco. These are some of the companies. So everyone is now taking some pie the most interesting part is of the cloud services, because no one imagined that something like this will come into the automotive industry as well, right? So many companies which are there in the cloud services before will now be developing another set of business vertical for the connected car ecosystem, right? So I think till now, any questions so far? Okay. See, as far as the autonomous vehicles are considered, we have already discussed about the possibility of introduction in the Indian market, but it's very important for you to understand whether how the autonomous vehicle works, and what is the basic principles of working with an autonomous car. So there are variety of sensors which are there in the autonomous cars that include radar, lidar, sonar, GPS and all, that help the vehicle to navigate on the road without a driver. And experiments has been conducted on autonomous vehicles since 1920, and the first automated car was developed in 1977. The main technical challenge is the error of artificial intelligence and its decision-making algorithm in life-threatening situation. So there were lots of incidents that has happened in the past. You may search on YouTube for this, and you will see that autonomous vehicles are being they hit somebody who was carrying his baby on the stroller. The decision algorithm of that autonomous car thought that it was some animal crawling on the road, right? So that's how, I mean, not very efficient even right now. It all depends on how what data sets are being given in the vehicle artificial intelligence system, so that they can decide uh, by just using their GPS, lidar and lidar, they can detect whether a person who is there on the road is a real live person, and whether they should stop and all that. Another challenge is the trust of people in this car. Autonomous vehicles are not very well being adopted in the market because of the trust factor again. When you talk about the level of autonomy of these vehicles, there are 5 levels of autonomy in the autonomous car. Till today, we are working on the level 2, right? Level 3, level 4, and level 5 are still a lot far. Major adoption has been done till level 2. This is important for you to understand. Level 0 refers to see, this is where your hands on and eyes on, right? This is where all the vehicles that you see on the road are there in India, right? The driver is putting his hand on the steering and his eyes are always there on the road, right? This is level 0 autonomy. Level 1 is what? Level 1 is where the hands are there on the steering, eyes are there on the road, but his feet is not there on the brake pedal or the acceleration pedal, right? His feet is away, longitudinal or transverse guide, because it will help the driver to traverse in the straight direction, right? So this is what level 1 is called. Level 2 is more on the traffic control side, where your driver is not putting his hand on the steering, neither he is putting his feet on the brake pedal or the steering pedal. So this is level 2. Level 3 is where your eyes are off, he's not giving attention on the road as well, and his hands are also off, right? There is no touch with the steering or neither with the brake pedal or acceleration pedal, right? This is level 3. Level 4 is completely no driver intervention, where the driver will just sit and he can actually relax. The difference between level 3 and level 4 is that in level 3, if there is any obstruction coming in the near, let's say at a distance of 100 meter or 200 meter, the driver has an instant response to that particular interference, right? In this case, the response of the driver will be a bit slow. Although his hands are off, minds are off, he's relaxing. But even though if it is required, he can put in his hand on the steering and fit on the brake pedal and acceleration pedal. And level 5 is complete on autonomy, whereas there is no driver at all present on the driving seat. Any questions with this? Level 1 to level 5? Okay. Now, these are some of the companies which are investing in automation from level 1 to level 5. Level 5, we are going to see somewhere between 2021 and 2030. Level 5 will be reached out. Some researches has already been done on level 1, level 2, level 3 back in between 2015 to 2020. These are all the companies which have worked in this segment quite a lot. Okay, need for prognostics. Who can tell me the difference between diagnostics and prognostics? Prabhat? Diagnostics, you know, right?
No, sir.
See, if there is any fault in any component, you used to diagnose that, right? You used to find out what is the cause, what is the right? Yeah, please. See, this is also something similar to your active and passive safety systems, right? Diagnosis will come before prognostics, right?
Okay, sir.
Diagnosis, once you do the diagnosis, you find out the reason, what has caused the problem, or what is the cause of failure of a component. That is more on the diagnostic side. If you're doing prognostics, that means you have identified the cause. Now you will give the solution to this particular cause, right? You will identify, you have already identified. Now you are treating this particular fault, or maybe you are solving that fault using your technology, or using your skill sets, or by changing the battery, by changing your motor. That is prognostics. So what happens is, the diagnostics actually happens through different stages, right? You have your in-vehicle monitoring about your motor, your fuel pump, or your battery. In case of hybrid, there will be fuel pump, and this all is being any fault in this is being transmitted to your mobile phone or to your notification devices, either using a text or an email, or any fault that is there in the vehicle. Once that fault you receive, then your grid in charge, or maybe a central server company who is there to help you with the servicing and all, they will either send you a link, or they will either guide you on what you can do in case there is any fault, right? They can either guide you to uh, change any component, or they can guide you to go to their nearby service stations. So this will come into prognostics, right? They are doing the prognostics once you get the data about the diagnostics of your vehicle. So this is the problem that is there. Kindly fix this, right? So diagnostics and prognostics happen in a real-time basis. This is done through IoT devices which are installed in the vehicle, and which gives you a real-time notification about any fault that is being arised, and that's how this is actually done, right?
Okay, sir.
So I think before we jump into the data science, I want to bit of, see, it's not that I will get into the depth of data science, but yes, I also don't want that in the near future you are not aware about what are the tools which are there, what is the basic technology which is there for when we talk about data science and all. So a bit of regression and all these things, only you need to understand the terminologies. This is what we will cover. So this will take a bit of time. I think today I thought that I will cover these as well, but it will be too much for you. So what I will do is I will share this slide. You will go through this. We are going on a good timeline, and probably we'll cover this, or once we cover this part, data science and machine learning, AI and all, brief intro about this, then we will jump into the electric vehicle analysis. So this, I think this will not take much of your time. In the next class I would be able to cover this as well. So yeah, so make sure that you are well prepared before the next class. And I think whatever we have covered today is more on the part of the features which are there. How do you make the electric vehicle safe, or any vehicle safe? How does policies into the picture? What is the problem India is facing? So that you can have a broad view. It's not just starting a concept, it is also about understanding whether market need your expertise, whether market is actually ready for electric vehicle adoption, or it is just that you are going haywire and you are going with the flow. So this is what was the crisp of this. Great. Any discussion? Any questions you'd like to put forward? Any suggestions? How do we move? Okay, great. Bharat, I think things are clear with you as well. You are able to understand what we are teaching. Yes, Aditi.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, actually, the technologies which you have taught right now, sir, in that all the four are clear, but I have a little doubt about the what is what if we choose vehicle to grid technology over vehicle to vehicle? Like, what is the mild difference between it?
If you choose vehicle to grid communication, this is okay, and over vehicle to vehicle communication.
Yes,
What
sir.
is the difference?
Major difference.
Major difference will be there. So vehicle to vehicle communication is to help you predict whether there is any this is very case specific, right? So any blind spot, any major accident, any uh, let me be very clear with this. Vehicle to vehicle is mostly on the crash elimination side. While when you talk about vehicle to infrastructure or vehicle to grid will help you to have a reduced need for infrastructure. Let me come to this. Okay, vehicle to communication is comprised. So on a broad side, if you look, vehicle to vehicle communication, yes, it is there to minimize the chances of collision between the vehicles. Vehicle to grid in other terms also refers to the charging infrastructure that we have in place. So for example, let's say that I am charging my vehicle and the data or the information about my vehicle when I'm charging that vehicle uh, has to be somewhere transferred to a grid so that other vehicles can be informed from the grid uh, about uh, my charging behavior or my vehicle behavior. So in other terms, you can also think about when somebody would be willing to transfer the data about the internal uh, behavior of a vehicle. In that case, vehicle to grid communication would be required. While it is not beneficial for me to communicate between the vehicles, vehicle to V2V communication, in that case, I need not to take care about the maintenance parameter of a vehicle. So whether the battery is going to die out in 1 month, 2 month, or 3 month, that is not a relevant thing for a communication which is happening between vehicle to vehicle, right? That information is relevant only when the communication will happen with the grid, right? V2V will be very case specific. It will be uh, again mostly on the crash elimination part. And I think travel time dependability, it is also very much interconnected, because if there are 100 vehicles on the road and these vehicles are communicating with each other, then this data about whether there is any disturbance or what is the traffic situation after 2 kilometer also help you to navigate properly, and that will also help you to get into a reduced travel time. And then if there is a reduced travel time, this will increase to productivity, energy efficiency, and all that. uh, but if vehicle to grid communication is happening, it is more towards the subsystem detail uh, pertaining to the diagnostics and prognostics of a vehicle by a grid, right? By a central server, because grid is the one which will be taking all the data about the behavior of vehicle, right? The internal behavior of vehicle. If I mean, maybe I could ask my charging infrastructure guy to have a research paper available on this, but this is what is the analysis per se, Aditi.
Thank you, sir. Understood.
Understood. Done, guys. So very well. I think you attending the classes is actually very important for me as well. Although, I mean, I can record the class and send it for others working professionals, but if you're attending, if you're discussing, that sets a very positive mood for me as well. So thanks for connecting, and we'll share the slide so that you can go through that, and let's connect next week to discuss about the other part. Thank you so much, guys. See you in the next class.